Nick Saban's comments made earlier this week on the Paul Feinbaum show, also made a week or two ago to Adam Rittenberg, who writes for ESPN. So twice on an ESPN platform in the span of a couple of weeks, Nick Saban both asked and also then elaborating upon his thoughts that there should be a commissioner to college football. And to take his slice of it, he's basically saying, okay, this person needs to be unbiased. That might be impossible to do, but as far as you can possibly tell from a person's experience and background and connections, this person should be not tied to a particular conference, school, or part of the country. They should be unbiased. They should not be too football connected that they would favor offense or defense in regards to rules changes and flow of the game and all those things. And basically, as we have become familiar with the rhetoric and the phrase working and making decisions for the best interests of the game is used in Major League Baseball and the NFL for their commissioner. And we've seen it with three recent issues that come to mind: satellite camps, the college football playoff, and also pay-for-play, three hot-button issues that a commissioner may bring a level of centrality to college football and be able to make a decision with some surrounding of wise counsel to come to those decisions. So it's something that Nick Saban feels pretty strongly about. David, your thoughts about a college football commissioner?
And I'll start with it. Definitely, you brought up, the other sports that, and it's mainly the NFL that has it. That's the closest thing we'll get to college football. And I think it has to be a little bit more general than that. I don't think the commissioner in college football needs to be suspending players or handing down any type of punishment. That needs to still go on at a school conference level. No one person should be over that in college football. As we brought up, and you brought it up in there, Nick Saban, and you said it's more about the good of the game. This college football every offseason seems to be changing fast. We hear about what conferences are doing and expansion and TV deals, and you said the playoffs, there's hot button topics, and most recent the satellite camps. It would be nice to have one person looking over. That whole satellite camp thing was boggled and fumbled from the get-go. At first it was here, and then they take it away, and now 2 weeks later it's back again. It would be nice for one person to sit there and look at that, been able to look at that and lay all the pieces out and what's best for college football. And I will say the type, yes, it will be very hard to get someone with no bias. It should not be anyone with a former coach or any ties to a university as far as like on the field level. It's going to have to be someone who is used to dealing with the ADs and presidents of the universities, dealing with TV contracts and numbers and stuff. Coaches have no business being talk about that type of stuff. I don't think. But I go back to it's. And Mike mentioned it last week. What we're facing with college football now and expansion and stuff like that is football was built on regionalism, and that's kind of what we've lost a little bit with all these new TV deals. Missouri joining the SEC, Texas A&M joining the SEC, leaving the Big 12, Nebraska leaving the Big 12 and the Big 10. We lost some great college football rivalries, and I also think that's part, for the good of the game. I think that's part of what the commissioner can do. Yes, these conferences are going to make their money in these TV deals, but I also think we lost a bit of what college football is about when this happened. I think the commissioner stepping into that role would really help that.
Go ahead, Mike, your thoughts about a commissioner for college football.
Look, this idea is even less well thought through than Bielema's idea about bringing juniors back from the draft. The only reason Nick Saban made these comments was so that people would stop talking about the satellite camps and talk about whatever Saban said. So he just kind of threw this out. I'm convinced that's why he said that, so that people would stop talking about satellite camps and stop talking about Jim Harbaugh. Where do I start? First of all, the NFL, Major League Baseball, those commissioners are in charge of one thing, that league and that sport. When you talk about college football, you can't talk about college football writ large without talking about the relationship that the programs have with their schools and that the programs have with the other athletic programs within the college. College football doesn't operate by itself. Before we came on, we were talking about if the SEC ever expanded to 14 teams, North Carolina's a natural geographic fit, but North Carolina would never come to the SEC. Why? Not because of football, but because of basketball. So you can never have a large-scale 30,000-foot conversation about college football without including the conversation about college basketball, college baseball, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing is these commissioners in pro football and pro baseball have staffs of lawyers, that there's unions, there's laws or regulations. They have to testify in front of Congress sometime. You don't have that with college football because it's really a loose confederation of the entities that make up the NCAA. The presidents of the university are the people who make the power, make the rules, and administer the NCAA. And if you talk about somebody who can't punish people but kind of works with the TV contracts and kind of oversees the direction where the game goes, that kind of sounds similar to what we have with the head of the NCAA. So when I think of a commissioner of college football, really I think of Mark Emmert in a little bit more focused role than what he is today. So again, I go back to my first point. This idea about a commissioner for college football is less well thought through than Bielema's idea about bringing juniors back. I'm convinced Nick Saban made the comment as a completely for the reason of drawing the national narrative away from Harbaugh and satellite camps back over to something Saban said, and just to get Harbaugh and satellite camps out of the national discussion. I'm convinced that's the only reason he made the comment.
So the title.
Here's the other point. Here's the other point, Mark. We talk about finding somebody who's unbiased, who doesn't have a regional affiliation, who's not offense-focused or defense-focused. You find me one issue or one person in college football that everyone can agree on. I'll wait. You're not going to find it. There's not one person. And if he or she's not unbiased or isn't tied to some part of the game, then fans are going to complain that they don't know what they're doing. And then they'll make some rule, and a guy like Saban or Harbaugh will complain about, he or she, they don't have the experience requisite to make this decision. They're not listening to the coaches or their athletic directors. So, you can't have it both ways. You just can't. Again, I'm convinced Saban said it just so people would stop talking about Harbaugh and satellite camps. That could be the only reason he said this.
Well stated. And if you take the title commissioner to the truest sense of the word, then you take it to the breadth that you talk about with Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NFL. If you're only talking about a certain, so there would have to be a determination on how much power does this individual have, and to David's point, what issues do they delve into? And then to your greater point, Mike, all the complexities of the institution, the academics, the other sports, the regionalization, all the things that the NFL and the professional sports don't have to deal with, because they deal with basically, we want to make money, and that's the only sole purpose that they exist, basically, is to make money and work within a silo. But if we're going to limit the commissioner's realm and their authority to just the structure of the college football playoff and scheduling, then here's your candidate right here.